switch to these tabs, because I did this ages ago and people were talking about -8, which is an artist who admitted that he likes children. And I feel like when somebody admits that, you don't try to be like, oh, well, aunties made him do it. That's a little fucking weird. And the first time I was able to find any links between OCD and pedophilia was a 1999 news journal, or not news journal, but like scientific journal. Let me see here. I want to make sure I have the correct date, because this is 2018, but I'm pretty sure this is from 1999. Okay, so I got it, chat. I got it, chat. We're all set. We're all set. So, in looking up POCD, because before I talk about something, I typically want to understand exactly what it is. So, this is a 2018 science journal. Pedophilic sex offenders are characterized by reduced GABA concentration in the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. This is basically something wrong with their brain. A pedophilic disorder is characterized by abnormal sexual urges toward prepubescent children. Child abusive behavior is frequently a result of lack of behavioral inhibition, and current treatment options entail, next to suppressing unchangeable sexual orientation, measures to increase cognitive and attentional control. We tested if in brain regions subversing attentional control of behavior and perception of salient stimuli, such inhibition deficit can be observed also on the level of inhibitory neurotransmitters. We measured GABA concentration in the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex and in a control region, the pregenual anterior cingulate cortex, in pedophilic sex offenders, and matched controls using a 7 Tesla steam magnetic resonance spectroscopy. In DACC, but not in the control region, pedophilic sex offenders showed a reduced GABA and CR concentrations compared to the healthy controls. The reduction was robust after controlling for potential influence of age and gray matter proportion within the MRS voxel. Importantly, reduced GABA CR in patients was correlated with lower self-control measured with the Barrett impulsiveness scale. Essentially, blah, blah, blah. They keep going on, and they give you a little introduction on how pedophiles have fucked up brain. But the thing that I wanted to reference was the Bradford 1999 Science Journal was the first time I could ever find any instances of pedophilia and OCD being linked in any way or shape or form. There's some evidence that pedophilia and obsessive-compulsive spectrum disorders show phenomenological as well as etiological overlap, as reflected, for instance, by similar pattern of brain structural deficiencies. ADHD is another highly comorbid clinical condition in pedophilia, which may further sexual disinhibition, and therefore has been discussed as an important vulnerability factor to sexual delinquency. So essentially, in the Bradford Journal talks about how when someone is a pedophile, they typically also will exhibit comorbidities of other mental illnesses. Often they will exhibit OCD, they will exhibit ADHD, they will exhibit anxiety, depression. There's a lot of comorbidities when someone is a pedophile. So this isn't saying that there's something that is POCD. This is saying that paraphilias like pedophilia typically have a lot of overlap with other mental illnesses. What? No way. I know. So at some point around 2015, this man, Dr. Jordan Levi, I guess? Dr. Jordan Levi is a licensed psychologist in private practice in Manhattan at the Center for Cognitive Behavioral Psychotherapy and in Livingston, New Jersey. He specializes in the treatment of anxiety and obsessive-compulsive disorder, including the purely obsessional subtype, Pure O. And he's written a bunch of articles. 8 signs you might have somatic OCD, 9 signs you might have pedophilic OCD, 13 signs you might have harm OCD, 8 signs you might have existential OCD, 13 signs you might have relationship OCD, 11 signs you might have suicidal OCD. You get the picture, right, chat? Like, he's made a whole bunch of fucking subgroups in 2015 of OCD. And of them, there's this article. And pretty much everything I've seen that talks about pedophilia OCD cites Jordan Levi as the source of the information. Dr. Jordan Levy is a licensed psychologist specializing in the treatment of anxiety and obsessive-compulsive disorders. The diagnosis of pedophilia has absolutely nothing to do with the diagnosis of POCD. Avoidance plays an important role in the perpetuation of POCD. Individuals suffering with POCD will do everything in their power to ensure that these fears do not come to fruition. Treatment for POCD entails engaging in exposure therapy while simultaneously addressing the shame resulting from stigma. What was the sample size? Hold up, exposure therapy? Yes, you heard that right. Imagine one day you are walking past an elementary school playground. You glance over at the children and out of the blue, a thought enters your head. Did I just look at those kids in a creepy way? Your brain immediately begins to doubt and analyze whether your glance was creepy, and you're flooded with terror. Why would I be staring at kids? Do other people do this? Was I physically attracted to one of them? Is there something wrong with me? Did I do something inappropriate? Did I get aroused by the children? Am I a pedophile? Am I going to become a pedophile? What does this mean that I am even thinking these thoughts? Sorry, so the guy openly admitting he is in possession of CP? No. By exposure therapy, he means if you are afraid you're going to become a pedophile, spend time around children so that you understand you will not become a pedophile. Is what he means by exposure therapy. The next time that you are in a similar situation, you were probably acutely aware and on guard for whether there were any intrusive thoughts present. Now, whenever you walk by a school or playground, you avoid eye contact with everyone. You check where your hands are to make sure you won't accidentally touch a child inappropriately. And you're on guard and panicked that you will experience more intrusive thoughts that suggest feelings for children. And again, this is very different from that 1999 study that I was just talking about. This is a complete different thing, but I wanted to point out where OCD and pedophilia started to become linked in science journals so that people could see the transformation from simply paraphilia as having a connection with other mental illnesses, and then Jordan Levy here coining the POCD term. Why would I be on a playground? If you're afraid of explosives, be close to them. Oops, I accidentally just inappropriately touched that child. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is very weird. You may even check your genitals for signs of arousal. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, this is kind of weird. You worry others are looking at you, and you may even begin to question what you've done. You feel your only options to escape in order to protect the innocence of the children. You may feel that you're a monster and a bad person for having these thoughts in your brain. What you may not realize is that you may be suffering from a very common form of obsessive-compulsive disorder called pure O, and you're not alone. Purely obsessional OCD, also known as pure O, is one of the most common, yet lesser known, manifestations of OCD. People with pure O experience minimal observable compulsions, compared to those with who experience the typical form of OCD, such as checking and hand washing. While ritualizing and neutralizing behaviors do take place, they are mostly of a cognitive basis. The primary anxiety-reducing vehicle is mental rumination. Purely obsessional OCD often takes the form of horrific, intrusive thoughts of a distressing or violent nature, and the sufferer spending a great deal of mental effort trying to check, neutralize, and avoid certain thoughts. The internal verbal behaviors encompass excessive ruminations, thought loops, mental checking, and mental avoidance of certain thoughts. Endless amounts of time is spent attempting to answer the unanswerable questions that the OCD posits. And this is where we get into the exact same language as the MAP sort of debacle, where maps say that they are a minor attracted person, but they're a no contact map, which means they're not actually a pedophile because they won't actually touch a child. But this is a redefinition of what pedophilia is. Pedophilia is the attraction, not the actual action. So the fact that this is now another, well, they're not actually touching children, and now these people, they can't be real pedophiles, because real pedophiles, they don't know it's wrong. They don't get anxious or scared about being caught, right? That's not a pedophile. Feels like he's writing from personal experience. Relying on a pedo to self-report. How can this possibly go wrong? Very compelling argument. Face the wall, please. What goes through a guy's head first when he comes across children is the setting with kids secure or not, automatic guard dog response. Real pedophiles haven't been tried yet. Pure O OCD is one of the most common yet lesser known. OCD is masterful at deceiving the sufferer by saying, if you spend just a little time on this question, you'll figure it out and feel so much better. Because the threat feels so real, it is extremely difficult to resist the siren's call of mental rumination. The most imperative item on the agenda becomes gaining certainty. Oftentimes, sufferers will replay past scenarios, making sure to examine every single fact that was present. This is also something people with anxiety do. But when you ruminate on something, when you think, did I do anything wrong, especially if you speak out this situation to other people, they'll be able to tell you, no, absolutely nothing was wrong here. But if you are having these thoughts, if you are consuming things that would be pedophilia, that doesn't mean that you aren't also having these thoughts. Pedophiles know that what they're doing is wrong. They just don't care. I'm sure some of them have probably drank the Kool-Aid and genuinely believe that it's something they can't help and that they were born with, right? I'm sure some are that crazy because we have crazy people everywhere. But for the most part, they know what the fuck they're doing is wrong. The line of logic leads directly to the I'd better actually have sex with this child to make sure I don't like it. It's actual insanity here. And again, like, someone can feel free to fact check me, right? Because, like, I tried looking for instances of specific pedophilia, obsessive compulsive disorder, and I could not find anything on POCD prior to Jordan Levy and 2015. And the only links prior to POCD being used in 2015 that I could find personally were from that 1999 Science journal, which only said that paraphilias, and like pedophilia is a paraphilia, they have comorbidities with a lot of other mental illnesses, and OCD is one of the ones mentioned. That's because they get buried when they start. Within the subset of pure O, several themes tend to co-occur, including fears related to pedophilia, POCD, sexuality, HOCD, incest, bestiality, and the primary romantic relationship, ROCD. This is wonderful. If you have anxiety about anything, that means you just have, you know, an OCD subcondition. That's a get out of jail free card, chat. As Shane Dawson didn't really want to put his cock on that cat. He just had HOCD. This article concentrates on pedophilia OCD. An individual living with POCD can be simultaneously flooded with unwanted thoughts or images related to any and all of these themes. An individual that is terrified of becoming a pedophile or being a pedophile will be flooded with thoughts and imagery related to being a pedophile. I don't have OCD, but that seems a little weird to me. That seems a little odd. Patients have remarked, if I am attracted to a child of the same sex, then that doesn't mean I'm gay and shouldn't be married. If left unchecked, POCD can bleed into numerous areas of one life. If I'm attracted to a child of the same sex, that doesn't mean I'm gay. What the fuck did they mean by this? Are they just like, I can't be gay if I fuck a boy child because it's a child, so it doesn't count? Like, what? What the fuck is this logic? I thought the idea of kinks are genetic was insane. All the description of pure obsessive disorder is describing is an aversion to thought. This is brainworms. In contrast, the DSM-5 defines pedophilia as recurrent, intense, sexually arousing fantasies, sexual urges, or behaviors involving sexual activity with a prepubescent child or children. The diagnosis of pedophilia has absolutely nothing to do with the diagnosis of pedophilia obsessive-compulsive disorder. Despite this clear distinction, your POCD will undoubtedly be persuading you that you belong in the true pedophile category rather than the POCD category. Your therapist doesn't really understand, or your therapist is wrong. That's right, pedophile! Don't listen to your therapist, they're wrong! Listen to this psychology guy online who started talking about this in 2015. And also, an individual living with POCD can be flooded with unwanted thoughts or images related to these themes. So they're saying, because someone is immediately flooded with the thoughts and images, and they claim it's unwanted, that's different. That's patently, completely different from recurring intense fantasies and urges. Chat, I think we need to bring back helicopter rides, man. An individual living with POCD is no more likely to be a pedophile than an individual who does not have POCD. This is a disorder of anxiety and uncertainty, not sexual urges and behaviors. In regards to POCD, the primitive worry brain, they took my term, has randomly selected this theme as the topic that feels like it must be resolved immediately. That's right, chat. If you have sudden floods of thoughts of pedophilia, that means you're not likely to be a pedophile. You're just a normal person at that point. The difference is whether the pedophile feels guilty and it changes nothing. Yeah, like I said, I looked this up months ago, back when people were talking about like the -8 controversy stuff. -8, it took me ages to remember this fucking guy's name, by the way, because like I only knew him as like the dude that did the Anka animation. But like he came out and was like, he said some just fucking crazy shit about how like he would have sex with a child if he could afford the therapy after, but he's not rich, so he can't do that. And then he drew a lot of crazy shit as well. Like he's said some shit, and people would defend him, being like, aunties gaslit him into believing that he was a pedophile when he's not, and so he's suffering from POCD because he was terrified of becoming a pedophile because of all the aunties attacking him. And it's like, bro, man, I probably have more aunties than anyone I can think of off the top of my head. Than like maybe like Maury Calliope has me beat, right? But like not a single time have I felt like gaslit into believing any of their delusions, right? And like, I say aunties as just like as someone who is against someone. I am not putting myself into the same category as -8. I know people like to hate watch, so I gotta clarify myself here. Oh man, you love -8 art? Yeah, it's just like when I found out all the fucking shit Shadman did, dude. It's like I thought he was some fucking meme artist. I had really wanted art by him, and then I mean, like, my dreams were crushed. Like, thankfully so, chat. Thankfully you reminded me about how terrible he was, because that could have been really bad otherwise. Does he mean therapy for the child? Does he think if he just throws enough money at it after an apology, he can do whatever he wants? Yes, that is exactly what he meant. That is exactly what he meant. High altitude, no opening skydiving. What did Shad do? Shad drew lewd imagery. I can't remember her name. It was a minor actress. I don't remember what movie she was from, but he drew lewds based on her. And I feel like that immediately crosses a line. Like, he's done other grotesque art. You guys told me he did art of his mother, and it's like, yeah, that's fucking grotesque Chris Chan levels, but his mother's not a minor. Shad drew art of Keemstar's daughter. Also that. Maury Cantaloupe, true and real. So it's like, once you start using real children in your artwork, that's kind of fucked up. As a pole denizen, I knew him for like the Hillary Clinton, Jill Stein fucking meme art. The fucking Bigfoot is real and he tried to eat my ass kind of artwork. I was like, that's funny meme shit. But it crosses a line, as it were. You like -8, but yeah, you weren't aware of the things that were going on with him. It's fucking bad. I don't have the screenshots of the shit that -8 said on hand, but you can look them up. I am heavily quoting, and I don't know exactly how it was worded, but yes, he did say that like he wishes he could have sex with a child, but he doesn't have the money to be able to buy them therapy afterwards, so that's why he doesn't. And he's drawn some crazy shit as well. And then he came out with an apology, and he was just like, I'm gonna go to therapy. It's like, you know, and then everybody started defending him with this POCD nonsense, and it's like, the dude literally said he would fuck a kid if he could. That is not POCD. That is him admitting what he wants to do. If you want to know more, there's videos on it. Yeah, there's a lot of people who covered this when it happened. But since I had never seen POCD before at that point, that's why I have these tabs open. These are like fucking ancient ass tabs. Do I have something around here that I can get like a date on? What is this? What date is this? December? This was December last year. So that's how old these tabs are that I've kept open. Back to Mr. Jordan Levi here and his fucking nonsense. An individual suffering with POCD will experience intrusive thoughts or images accompanied by terrorizing anxiety. The OCD has the ability to produce doubt or question memories, real or imagined. Well, isn't that a neat excuse? Isn't that a neat thing there? Additionally, sexual urges are monitored and encoded as a part of the evidence-gathering process. The presence of an erection or vaginal lubrication is closely examined for signs of arousal. Based on the importance that POCD places on sexual attraction, your brain constantly draws attention to sexual arousal. This increased monitoring allows for a case of mistaken identity, in which any microscopic movement is determined to be arousal towards children. Taken together, unwanted thoughts, images, and urges can persuade an individual with POCD that they are a sexual deviant. So this guy is unironically saying, you might get a boner. If you're a lady, you might get wet. But that doesn't mean you're a pedophile because you're becoming aroused at imagery of lewd children in your brain. That's completely unwanted. You know, you can't help it. You're not really aroused. That's just the body's normal response. This is just like that John Money shit. Yeah, fuck John Money, dude. I would like to know more about Jordan Levy, but I literally could not find much on him either. Like, he just seemed to appear out of thin air and start talking about this shit. The diagnosis of pedophilia has absolutely nothing to do with the diagnosis of POCD. Among the many themes within OCD, there is perhaps no theme that carries more shame, guilt, self-loathing, and stigma than POCD. Despite the fact that there is no tangible difference between OCD themes in terms of development, maintenance, and treatment, those suffering with POCD tend to take ownership of OCD and view themselves as repugnant, vile, terrible people. Oh, well, that's fine then, you know? As long as the pedophile says, I can't help it, I have POCD, I am vile and repugnant, well, he's just fine then, right? No further inquiry needed. Bullet dodged, right? Is he even a real person? In line with this stigma, those suffering with POCD are almost always hesitant to describe what they are experiencing to a psychologist, if they're lucky enough to recognize that this is OCD. Are you kidding me? Are you... The more I read, the more I hate this man, dude. The word pedophile or molester is often whispered inaudibly during the initial sessions. Descriptions of POCD are typically preempted with questions regarding confidentiality or previous experience treating OCD, or a warning that you may judge me and think this is atrocious, but here goes. So you're telling me that once somebody thinks that they can use POCD as an excuse, they can go to a therapist and describe in detail the, like, intrusive images of lewd children that their brain produces and that arouse them, and that like the therapist is incorrect for diagnosing them as a pedophile instead of simply with just OCD? Are you... You may judge me and think this is atrocious, but here goes. Remember, I only have OCD. I'm not a pedophile, as I describe in great detail how my brain conjures images of how I'd like to fuck children. You think the difference should be quite simple? The actual bad person performs actual bad acts rather than finding it easy to simply not commit crimes? Again, the definition of pedophilia, a pedophile, is not someone who acts on it. A pedophile is someone who is attracted to children. So regardless of whether you're a no-contact map or a pedophile, you're both pedophiles. The word means an attraction to children. It does not mean an action on the attraction to children. Your shock therapy works. The OCD part specifically comes from it being intrusive, meaning they're unwanted, unconscious thoughts. Not an excuse, but there still is a difference. And I'm sure that there are some people, right, who may have been molested as children. I had to figure out how to say this. There are people who've probably been, like, molested as children who are terrified of perpetuating the cycle of becoming an abuser because they were abused, right? I don't doubt this. There are some people who probably have experienced some crazy shit, and now they are worried, am I going to continue this, right? But I would be willing to wager that that is an even smaller percentage of the population than those who actually suffer from gender dysphoria. And I feel like, again, the majority of people are going to be using POCD as a cover, as an excuse to hide the fact that they are pedophiles. Watch the anime Happy Sugar Life? I don't know what that is. This dude is as subversive as commies. Yep. A winning wager. Very winning wager. Very, very winning wager, man. I'm not a gambling lady, but, you know. The idea of coming to therapy and talking about something that is deemed so shameful feels like an impossible undertaking. This is unfortunately reinforced by society and, to a lesser extent, the mental health field, which does not have an adequate understanding of POCD. Again, this guy started talking about this in 2015. What was in full swing around 2015? The entire children can consent to changing their body irrevocably. And the end goal of children can consent to changing their body, they can consent to surgeries, they can consent to hormone treatments, is eventually going to be children can consent to sex. That is the only direction that can go in. They're like, if children are capable of making irreversible decisions about their sexual organs, the logical conclusion would be, yes, they can consent to sex. Because why wouldn't they be able to if they can consent to changing their sexual organs? This is erroneous, and I'm glad that, again, we're doing things to protect children in current year. I'm glad that there are less crazy people advocating for this nonsense. I still wish that doctors and parents who allowed this to happen could somehow get prosecuted. The slippery slope is no longer a fallacy. So it's funny to me that the first instances of this I could find from this guy are in 2015, and it was around the same time that all of this other shit was coming out about doing stuff to children, and now pedophiles conveniently have a new excuse that isn't the MAP language that everybody already rejected previously. Go be a monk in the mountains. Kids can't consent because they're not old enough. No, I agree. That's not my opinion. I do not think kids can consent to that. You're tired of people calling a logical conclusion a slippery slope? I'm just following the logic to where it leads. Was it 2015? You didn't start seeing that till 2019. This is what I'm saying from looking up POCD, right? POCD, the first instances I saw of this were in 2015. If you're talking about like the children consenting thing, that goes all the way back to about 2005. Was probably the first time I heard of that specifically. By 2009, there were people in my high school wearing binders and also wanting to get on hormones. And I was posting articles on Facebook about as early as 2010, 2011 about minors being put on hormone blockers. So that stuff has been going on for a very long time. Shit's far older, coming from the 70s where teachers were trying to test shit. I know the John Money shit came from the 70s, right? John Money is the one who coined the theory of gender being separate from sex. And anybody who knows about John Money, TLDR, there was a botched circumcision on a pair of twins. One of them had a botched circumcision, and they decided instead of raising that as a little boy, they would raise him as a girl. And John Money made the twins perform sexual acts on each other. He would bring them to orgasm. He would raise that boy as a girl. And I'm pretty sure both of them ended up taking their own lives when they grew older. What are binders? Binders are what women wear to press their breasts flat against their chest. Typically, they had been used in the past by like women to squeeze into dresses, to do like performances on stage in theater, or to do like cosplays and whatnot. But women who believe that they can become a man will wear chest binders to flatten their chest. Men did evil in the sight of the Lord. Yeah. Chest bindings. Yeah. Sadly, not the kind of binders that are usually in school, you know, for papers. Crazy, your old pastor's talking about this in the 90s and early 2000s. Yes. Like I said, I'm sure it existed before then, but in my personal experience, I first heard of it around 2005-ish. I was very young, so I wasn't exactly like politically aware at that point, but it was like the first time that I had heard of it in my life. True to what happens often, twins off themselves. One funny thing about John Money is that his own research actually disproved his hypothesis about gender identity being a product of upbringing, but that aspect of it never gets talked about. I mean, they can't talk about it because then it would unravel a lot of the activist talking points. You went from middle school where you had a gay guy and he was known as the gay guy. He was a jerk. That's the real reason people disliked him, to being in high school and getting woke because a school buddy got you on Tumblr. Some school friend went progressively, more down the pipe, first pan, then non-binary, then a trans man, just kept going. Yeah, I've talked a couple of times about, there was a lesbian couple who had sex on an art room table in my high school, and one of them was 18 and the other was 17, and because it wasn't because of the age gap, but it was because they did it on school grounds and one of them was an adult that the older one got expelled. and she was already like, you know, like a butch lesbian, but after that she ended up like wearing chest binders and changing her name, and I'm pretty sure she eventually went on hormones. And then I'm not sure what happened after that. Lost track of her. The bastard is still cited in psychology textbooks. He is, unfortunately. Numerous therapists make the harmful mistake of informing someone with POCD that it's not OCD and that they're a dangerous individual and or should be seeking sex therapy. Sadly, this promotes the message to the POCD sufferer that they are horrible people who do not have OCD. I have a feeling that, right, like even a therapist dealing with a pedophile doesn't specifically say that they are a dangerous individual. I feel like a therapist is going to word that slightly differently. Like, they are a dangerous individual, I agree, but I don't think a therapist is going to word it that way. The cure for pedophilia is at 556, true and real. Newsflash, you can have OCD and still be a horrible person. Which again, the 1999 Science Journal did say that paraphilias like pedophilia do have comorbidities with other mental illnesses like OCD. I do not believe that you can blame your pedophilia on OCD, though. I feel like a lot of this POCD is just schizobabble nonsense. However, I can see some of it making sense in the instances of, like, if you were a child and you experienced being molested, you experienced something incredibly traumatic, and you don't want to perpetuate a cycle of abuse, I could see becoming, like, irrationally obsessed with the, am I going to become a terrible person kind of thing, right? I can see that being a thing. I just do not think it is going to be very widespread. It's going to be a very small population of people that fall into that. What is pedophilic OCD? Common past-oriented spikes. Did I ever do anything inappropriately sexual when I was younger? Did I do anything recently that was sexually inappropriate? Have I ever been attracted to an adolescent child? Did I ever molest anyone? Could ambiguous action X be construed as sexual? Have I accidentally clicked on child porn? What? Does a person from my past know something that suggests I'm a pedophile? I'm very confused. Right, like, I mean, I guess if you frequented 4chan back in the day, you could have accidentally clicked on child porn. But I feel like in the current year, it's like very fucking difficult to accidentally stumble upon something like that. Like, I don't even know where I would look for something like that besides just shrug dark web question mark. Like, what how does one accidentally? A sex therapy exists? Sign me up. What the fuck? That damn cat searching that CP. To be fair, back in the old Kazaa days, there was a ton of CP labeled as Naruto episodes. Yeah, like back in the day, it was very easy to like hide that shit. And I'm sure some people came across it accidentally. Again, back in the day. And maybe since this is worded as have I accidentally, it could be like at any point, not in current year, but any point in their life in general. But it's like if you, as someone who frequented 4chan when I was in high school, I can't imagine constantly thinking about what did I click on fucking years ago. Were they referring to like Lolicon? I don't know, man, dude. I don't fucking know. Didn't the hub purge its non-verified uploads due to that? Yeah, the hub had an issue with that. The hub had an issue. Blue Sky, Deep Web, Dark Web would be one of them. Oh yeah, I forgot Blue Sky had the fucking pedophilia issue. I forgot about them completely. Didn't the hub purge? Yeah, the hub purged. Chippy. You don't have to look for that. The whole Blue Sky was created for it. I forgot about Blue Sky, man. I take that back. Maybe this guy's a Blue Sky user. And then he could actually unironically question if he accidentally clicked on it. And the only other thing you've seen that has to do with CP was a Discord server owner getting his house raided by the FBI for someone else posting CP in his Discord server. I feel like that's really weird. Right? Because, like, if you want to get someone's Discord server shut down and you want to get someone's house raided, wouldn't you also be worried that, like, where did that guy get the CP from? Right? Like, did they think about this ahead of time? If they mean at any point ever, does this also apply to the one being attracted to a minor ever? Correct me if you're wrong, but that would also count as a kid having thoughts about another kid. Yeah, but it's like if you're a child and you have like a crush on someone, that's not pedophilia. That's just like, it's liking someone your age. Raid the person that posted it, not the one that made the server? Yeah, exactly. That's like people posted that at fucking Chibi Reviews, didn't they? Like they like ended up getting into his DeviantArt account or some shit and then posting actual CP because they thought he was a pedophile. But it's like, hold on, wait a minute. If you're going to call someone a pedophile, why do you have CP? And why are you uploading it to his account, right? Like, first of all, you shouldn't have that. Someone raid that man's house. Second of all, why would you give someone that you think is a pedophile CP? Like, that just... I don't understand the logic here. Gotta own the pedos by posting CP to their accounts. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Feds do it all the time. Yeah, but you're not a Fed. You don't have like governmental protection and immunity for entrapment, man. And sometimes the childs are perverted and want to fuck a woman, for example. If you are an adult and a minor comes to you and is like, hey, yo, you want some fuck? It is your job as an adult to tell them no, and then also, like, probably report them, right? Because that means there's probably some kind of abuse going on at home, right? Because most children aren't going to do that. I've even talked about how, like, when I was like 16, right? I dated like a 23-year-old. That is bad. That is a major fucking red flag. A lot of high school girls think that if like older men are attracted to them, that means they're more mature and they're worth more than their peers because an adult is attracted to them instead of stinky high school boys, right? Right? But it's like that. No, that's bad. That's bad because the older man is taking advantage of you and is a pedophile. Mods, check that man's hard drive. Most children that do that are either imitating what they've witnessed or, yeah, that problem. Yep. That's a definite report this happening because something is not right at home, man. Send him to Ukraine. You agree it was an orphanage with a lot of sons of whores? Common present-oriented spikes. Okay, so these were the past-oriented, totally not pedophilic thoughts. These are the present-oriented, totally not pedophilic thoughts. Am I attracted to this 10-year-old in front of me? Was I just checking out this 13-year-old girl? Did someone just notice me doing something strange? I should stand on the other side of the subway, away from the 6-year-old boy, so I don't impulsively grope him. If you're having thoughts about impulsively groping children, I don't think you can hide behind POCD. I don't think you can hide behind that, dude. Am I sexually aroused by this little girl on TV? Okay. Common future-oriented spikes. How do I know I will never engage in pedophilic behavior? What if one day I really am attracted to children? I think that one day has passed. If you're having impulsive thoughts of groping children. What is the right way to hold/hug/change a child? What if I get arrested and go to jail? Will I be creepy or do something inappropriate when I have a baby? Simply disable your limbs. It's fucking insane that this is what people in those Twitter threads are defending by using POCD as a cudgel. It is. It really is. It really is. And I'm seeing the exact same, like, fucking rhetoric as the map language. And it's insane to me that people are eating this shit up once again. Reassurance seeking is common within this theme. Individuals with POCD will ask friends and loved ones questions aimed at figuring out this threatening unknown. Endless hours are spent mentally ruminating in an attempt to alleviate anxiety. Checking the physical environment to ensure that insidious behavior has not occurred is also common. Incessant answer seeking also occurs on the internet through Google searches and online forums. Common searches include looking up infamous pedophiles and comparing to oneself or sifting through legal jargon to prepare for feared consequences. The hope is to find a nugget of information from anyone, anywhere that will extinguish the horrific threat. The internet can be an extremely debilitating weapon that leads individuals with POCD down the proverbial rabbit hole. And again, I just want to remind people, pedophilia is not the action of touching a child. Pedophilia is simply the attraction to one. Very nice of you to read this to make us sick. Now chat can vomit with you. I feel the need to bring this up Because again, POCD is being used to defend people that are actual, like, pedophiles. It's not being used as like a, oh, well, this can happen to people who were traumatized, and, you know, the very small percentage of people might actually experience an obsessive compulsion towards not wanting to perpetuate a cycle of abuse. It's being used as in, these people are pedophiles, they can't help it, they have a mental illness. And it's just like they haven't touched a child, so they got POCD, they're not a pedophile. You can only joke about exploding the penis, but not breaking it. It's fucking... There's a considerable amount of testing that takes place within this theme. Individuals with POCD feel compelled to compare their thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and sexual arousal when they're around children and adults. The hope is that this will serve as a pedophilia litmus test. As mentioned earlier, this inevitably yields a multitude of false positives that lends itself to further ritualizing. While all of these rituals serve to temporarily relieve anxiety, they ultimately prevent someone with POCD from progressing in treatment. Avoidance plays an important role in the perpetuation of POCD. Individuals suffering with POCD will do everything in their power to ensure that these fears do not come to fruition. And this is another thing. -8 drew himself fucking children. He admitted he wanted to fuck children. He just didn't have the money to afford their therapy. He said in so many words that he is a pedophile. There is no defending him with POCD. Like, it's fine if he wanted to come out and apologize for his behavior and say that he's seeking therapy, but it's like, you're not, like, I'm not part of his personal life, right? I don't know if he's going to therapy. I don't know how real that is. It's just like, it's insane to, like, blame that people gaslit him. Absolutely insane to me. And especially because avoidance plays an important role. If people are consuming pornographic content of either like AI, children, or maybe if they have the real thing, or maybe if they're doing like weird toddler con shit, that's not avoidance. That is not avoidance. That is playing into it. You can't say that you have POCD if you are actively participating in something that POCD people should be avoiding, right? You doubt any amount of therapy can reduce that kind of damage that's enabling the behavior? Yeah, exactly. As is the case with all forms of OCD, escape and avoidance maintain and exacerbate the anxiety. I misread this. He's saying that you shouldn't avoid them. He's saying that you shouldn't avoid things that trigger your POCD. He's saying you should consume these things. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord, dude. In response to an impulsivity fear, one may stand as far away as possible from a minor or escape the situation altogether. Avoiding children at parks, museums, or near schools helps ensure that these thoughts, images, and feelings will not surface. In line with their avoidance, some individuals may choose not to have children of their own in order to limit the danger that they feel they pose to children. Now, I'm not a therapist, but I feel like if a guy comes to you and regardless of whether he says that he has flooding thoughts or consistent thoughts of pedophilia in his brain, I don't think any therapist worth their salt would be like, you should be around children more just to see if these thoughts are real. Like, I'm not a therapist. I don't have a degree, but like, that doesn't seem like something a professional would suggest to me. This is absurd. You're attracted to women. You don't go around burying your face in their very nice titties because of impulse control. These people belong in a wood chipper. 1,000% fucking %. 1,000% fucking %. Like, this is all grotesque, but I wanted people to know how, again, language is evolving, and you're going to be seeing a little bit less of people using map language, and you're going to be seeing POCD a bit more often. Unfortunately. Treatment for POCD entails engaging in exposure therapy while simultaneously addressing the shame resulting from the stigma discussed above. Facing the fear head-on while limiting ritualistic behavior is the most effective way to manage OCD. This includes intentionally placing oneself in situations that will progressively provoke more challenging, unwanted, intrusive thoughts and accompanying anxiety. An emphasis is placed on situations that are inducing a desire to escape or avoid. Sample exposure items include going to public parks, looking at pictures of children, watching movies such as The Lovely Bones, or reading news stories about pedophiles. I don't know what the Lovely Bones is, so I can't comment on that one. Are they gonna recommend people with POCD watch Cuties? Is that gonna be in the treatment regimen over here? Imagine if you have actual OCD and then this piece of shit says, yeah, I'm not a pedophile, I have POCD. You know, if I had OCD, I'd kind of be a little angry hearing this, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even if it helped to be around children more, to make them less affected by POCD, the risk to the children isn't worth it. This is what I was just about to say, right? Like, as someone with anxiety, certain things would tick up my anxiety. And yes, exposure therapy does help. When I had panic attacks playing Tarkov, I got berated because how the fuck are you having panic attacks playing a video game, you fucking idiot? But it's like, I would continue playing it because I wanted to figure out exactly what was triggering my anxiety and how to no longer have that happen. But when I'm doing that, I'm not endangering other people. I don't have, like, thoughts of murdering people in my head, right? Like, I'm not doing anything dangerous. If someone is having, like, pedophilic thoughts, even if they're the type of pedophile that thinks they're bad, that knows it's a bad thing to have, that doesn't mean that you should place them around children. Like, that's insane. Hey, Kirsche, I think I may have a tail fetish, but I'm fairly certain it's just a passing thing. Would you mind if I repeatedly shoved my face into your tail and huffed it for hours and hours on end to make sure it's definitely just a passing fancy I'll get over in time? I believe this would count as essential research material and have extreme value to the psychological community. I feel like if I let you do that, I would wake up tied to a chair with most of my tail shaved off and then you recreating some sort of like weird voodoo doll of me with my tail fluff so that you could repeatedly use that in the future. I would feel a little unsafe. I feel a little crazy. We're gonna have some Josef Fritzling going on here. Explode that man's balls. It puts the lotion on its tail. No, that's ridicule, not me. I don't know, man. I don't know, the meat posting is kind of funny. Muscle. You'd watch that movie, Jesus Christ. The goal of these challenging exposure exercises is to let unwanted thoughts be present while allowing anxiety to dissipate organically. Taking this risk, I like how they put risk in quotation marks. Like it's not a real risk to place someone with pedophilic thoughts around children. Feels impossible, but after engaging in exposures consistently and repeatedly, the rational brain, the real you, can dominate the conversation. When anxiety is allowed to naturally dissipate, threatening situations are no longer perceived as such, and one does not feel relentlessly compelled to resolve questions related to potential for pedophilia. This theme can become irrelevant through exposures and response prevention. Okay, all right, wait a minute, hear me out. What if instead of placing these people in front of children, because they mentioned pictures earlier, what if these people are looking at pictures of children? And then their POCD brain goes into overdrive and they're like, well, what if I'm not attracted to this child wearing a big puffy jacket? What if I need this child to remove layers of their clothes and see how attracted I am to them then? Like, how far are you wanting these people to go in their picture therapy, as it were? Like, what are we supposed to allow here? You're okay with a pit bull around a child? 60% is better odds than whatever risk this therapy entails? Yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck even is this, dude? About the author. Dr. Jordan Levy is a licensed psychologist in a private practice in Manhattan at the Center for Cognitive Behavioral Psychotherapy and in Livingston, New Jersey. We already read what he specializes in, but it's just like... Man. And then there was this International OCD Foundation, which uses Jordan Levy's Am I a Monster? And he also wrote a little article here for them. They also say Dr. Jordan Levy is a clinical psychologist, blah, blah, blah. He has the exact same line everywhere it goes. This article was initially published in the winter 2016 edition of the OCD newsletter. And it's just like a repaste. I don't know if he added anything else here, or if it's just a complete repaste. No, just a complete repaste. And he also adds, visit, the iocdf.org about OCD, visit intrusive-thoughts.org OCD symptoms. Again, like I said, everything quotes Jordan Levy when it is talking about POCD. April 15th, 2022, pedophilia obsessive compulsive disorder. It's not what you think. Myths and facts. Myth number 1. If a person has POCD, that means they are a pedophile. Fact. A diagnosis of POCD does not mean that the individual is an offending pedophile. I wonder who else uses this rhetoric. Maps belong on the wall. Actually, having intrusive thoughts and urges about possibly being a pedophile is extremely distressing to these individuals, who may go to extreme efforts to avoid any situations that could possibly bring them closer to their fears. If a pedophile has an attraction to children and is afraid of actually offending, that does not make them any less of a pedophile. It makes them aware that they are a bad person, but it does not make them less of a pedophile. What a moment to enter stream. Welcome! Isn't that a good thing? This sometimes look like avoidance of media content with or about children and babies, declining invitations to social gatherings in which children and babies will be present. I really hate how this article added babies. Or an inability to care for one's own child for fear of accidentally doing something inappropriate. Myth number 2. Having obsessive thoughts and urges about being a pedophile means that the individual is sexually aroused by this content. Fact. The OCD cycle, regardless of content, traps the sufferer in a loop of A, having an intrusive thought and urge that causes distress, B, the person compulsively engaging in a behavior to neutralize or undo the thought, C, temporary reduction in anxiety from the original thought, which reinforces to the brain that this compulsive behavior is necessary for our safety, and D, the intrusive thought and urge remains. The bottom line is, intrusive thoughts can feel torturous to the person experiencing them. The thoughts and urges are not desired, sought after, or welcome. Yes, I definitely trust a pedophile when he says that his thoughts about molesting children are merely intrusive and he definitely doesn't like them. Sufferer, remember chat, the pedos are the real victims. Myth number 3. Obsession about pedophilia is really sick. That person must be severely sick, way more than regular OCD. Fact. OCD can hook onto any content matter: germs, relationship uncertainty, sexual orientation, religion, health, symmetry, order, and more. The type of OCD has no bearing on severity. Rather, severity is determined by how much impairment the individual experiences in daily functioning as a result of the intrusive thoughts. Trained clinicians measure the amount of time the person spends on their compulsive behaviors a day, and how much control the person feels they have in their ability to resist compulsion. Chat, I just had a thought. I just had an impulsive thought. The severity is determined by how much impairment the individual experiences in daily functioning. You know what else uses that terminology? When you're trying to get like disability payments, you have to explain to the government how your disability is severe enough to impair your daily functioning. Can you imagine someone who's a pedophile claiming they have POCD and eventually making the government believe that they have a severe enough impairment about thinking about molesting children all day that the government starts paying them disability? That is horrifying. That is a horrifying fucking thought. Getting paid to sit out in front of the school all day. People who use this to justify maps aside, you believe the core idea of POCD is not that paraphilia is not a pedophilia, but the irrational fear that they are a pedophile, but you don't know. I've already said this a couple of times, but I'll loop it like a third or fourth one here. I don't know how many loops I'm on. I think that POCD can be an actual thing for a very, very small percentage of people. As we've seen from victims of grooming, from victims of childhood exploitation, from victims of childhood sexual assault, right? These children can go on to perpetuate the cycle of abuse. The victim becomes the abuser because they have normalized what happened to them in their head. We've read articles about the gay community on this, about how like gay people will be ushered into cruising and into the gay clubs by like 13, 14, 15, and then they'll go on to do the same thing to other 13, 14, 15-year-old boys when they get older. Right? So I can understand from that perspective, if you've been a victim or you've been exposed to these things as a child, you could get that obsession over, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do these things. I'm not attracted to these things, but I am terrified that I might become like the person who abused me, right? Like that makes sense. That's a sensical train of thought. And for those people, I feel nothing but bad for them, right? Because they went through some shit and they don't want to make other kids go through some shit. But I don't think that that is how POCD is going to be largely used. And I've seen it already on Twitter, people using POCD to defend outward pedophiles. And it's like that's not like, that does a disservice to the actual victims who might be terrified of perpetuating a cycle. What the fuck is that comic? I'm about to get to it. Let me see. I can't zoom in on this, so here we go. Pedophilia, OCD, it's not what you think. And this woman says, let's talk about the thoughts that have been worrying you. The ones about kids. And the guy says, they really scare me. I don't like them. Sometimes I think things or have urges to do things that I know are wrong with kids. And the woman says, have you ever acted on these urges? And the man says, no, never. But what if I do? What if I'm a horrible monster? And she says, you have something called POCD. You're not a monster, and you're not a pedophile. And he says, can you help me? I can't even babysit my little sister because I don't want to hurt her or even think about hurting her. So again, even in this comic, the way that they're using it in this comic is not someone who was abused and is afraid of perpetuating the cycle. They're using it as, this is a pedophile that has urges to do things with kids, but he's not a pedophile because he knows it's wrong. This is the way they are using it. Congratulations, you're a fucking monster. Oh my god. Your sister, Jesus Christ. Family members are usually the first victims in these kinds of things.
Am I a bad person? Paranoia is extremely common. Any psychologist will tell you, people in blue areas worry they might be racist, red areas worry they might be gay, and everyone worries about more universal ways to be a monster.
I mean, sometimes I worry about the way I've worded things, because, like, sometimes I'm fucking an idiot, right? I was like, I don't want to word things incorrectly. I try my best, but I'm also talking off the cuff for 5 hours a day. So, like, sometimes I might not word things well enough, and it might get misconstrued, and sometimes I try to explain myself better, you know? Come on, guys, it's fine. This pedo totally is afraid of touching kids, bro. You can trust him. Yeah, he's afraid. He knows it's wrong. That means he's not really a pedophile. It's not real pedophilia unless you actually touch a kid. Everyone does, Kier, you're fine. Yeah, you're our adorable idiot. I try best. Nobody has ever done anything they know to be wrong. Yeah, like, it's a crazy rationalization. And the fact that it's not even like these people aren't even trying to pretend that POCD is something from, like, a victim to abuser pipeline concern. They're literally just saying, this person is a pedophile, but they know pedophilia is wrong, therefore they're not a pedophile, and it's just POCD. That wasn't real pedophiles, that wasn't real communism. Well, I mean, they usually run together in the same groups, let's be real. A uranium cake gift to the doctor. Oh my god, this is horrific. I'm gonna post this article in chat in case you guys want this. I know KB is gonna be posting it in the stream channels as well. But I think this one is the fastest way. If POCD defenders pop up, this comic is the fastest way to be like, you're full of shit, buddy. What does treatment look? And this isn't from, like, some random fucking blog either. It's from Ignite Counseling Colorado, which, like, it is a blog, but it's from a counseling company. Nobody wants this. What does treatment look like for someone presenting with POCD symptoms? With an ERP-trained clinician. I hate that exposure and response prevention is the same as erotic roleplay, man, because goddamn, that... With an exposure and response prevention trained clinician, POCD clients work towards engaging with their fears and tolerating distress without performing ritualized compulsive behaviors. For example, if a mother diagnosed with POCD refuses to give her child a bath when alone because she's afraid of bathing her child inappropriately, the client is then assigned homework assignments with the purpose of bringing her closer and closer to the highest anticipated level of discomfort with the distressing, unwanted, intrusive thoughts. ERP trained. That's so fucking weird to me. Like, I'm not a mother, but the only time I've ever thought about, like, changing diapers is like, goddamn, I'm probably gonna have to wear a mask when I do that because I'm incredibly smell sensitive and baby shit smells atrocious. My grandma would, like, change the diapers of my little cousins in her bedroom, which was next to mine, and I would feel like vomiting all the time. I can't stand the smell, man. Assign her to cell block D. At first, this might look like helping the child get ready for the bath, then passing the bathing task to another trusted caregiver. Another exposure might be giving the child a bath with another caregiver in the home, but not nearby. And yet another exposure might be giving the child a bath without another caregiver in the home. With repeated exposure to the feared stimuli without tapping out, and engaging in a compulsion, such as a mental ritual of repeating the phrase, "I am okay if I just stay away from my child," clients retrain their brains to tolerate temporary distress without needing to do anything to alleviate the anxiety. If this is resonating with an aspect of your personal experience, we want you to know that there is hope for recovery, and we want to help. Please click here to schedule a free phone consultation with one of our ERP-trained staff. Bro, dude. I'm thinking of that fucking Hurtful Onions clip of him talking to the security guard, saying that he has to keep recording because he's like on the fucking sex offender registry or some shit. Harmful Onions, you have to do this. Fucking schedule for a free phone consultation. This is literally free kind of content that you do, my man. I would love to hear you talk to one of these consultants and talk about how you suffer from POCD. I need this. I need this unpopular onions video, man. Schedule him for the wood chipper. No, the Harmful Onions isn't an actual offender. He said that because he didn't want to turn off his stream. He's a silly little prankster. Why can't people just molest the Kirsche? Do not molest woodland critters. Free. It's literally free. This is his forte, man. And as I said, look at one of the references here. It's our friend, Mr. Jordan Levy. Mr. Jordan Levy. Imagine that. This is pretty much what they do for OCD sufferers who are triggered by other kinds of thoughts. They think they can just do the same thing for people who have thoughts of diddling kids. Yeah, again, it makes sense for regular OCD. Exposure behavioral therapy makes sense for regular OCD. It makes sense for anxiety. It makes sense for all sorts of mental health things. But if someone is having any kind of, whether you call them intrusive or not, thoughts about molesting children, I don't care if they say they think things and have urges that they know are wrong. I don't want to put that person in front of children. All these sources are just reposts of the original. They are. All of them source a Mr. Jordan Levy. All of them source Mr. Jordan Levy. Here's another one from 2025, February 14th, 2025. This is fucking recent, man. Jesus. What is POCD, pedophilia, OCD, signs, symptoms, and treatments? So I must have opened this one recently because I found more shit. Pedophilic OCD is a subtype of OCD that causes intrusive, unwanted thoughts about children. Unlike pedophilia, POCD is driven by anxiety, not desire. The most effective treatment is exposure and response prevention therapy, which helps people manage uncertainty and anxiety. Yes. Yeah, it doesn't matter that it's not driven by desire. If they say it's anxiety driven, that's, they're not really a pedophile. You're taking a stroll through the park, you notice a young child. Wait, hold on. We've already read this. Where did we read this? This is like a copy paste of something we already read. There's a young child on the playground. We already read this. Which article was this from? Hold on. That was this fucking Jordan Levi's thing. The imagine one day you're walking past an elementary school playground. They just left out the... You think to yourself, what a cute kid. But then another thought comes. Wait, what if I'm attracted to children? Am I a pedophile? If you have recurring sexual thoughts about children, you may have a condition known as pedophilia OCD. Hold on, wait a minute. In the other article, they specifically said that the difference between pedophilia and POCD was that in pedophilia, it's recurring thoughts, whereas in POCD, it's just a flooding of thoughts. So hold on, wait, they can't even keep their story fucking straight, man. Let's be clear, everyone has a random unwanted thought that pops into their head from time to time. However, there's a big difference between unwanted thoughts you can easily dismiss and those that sit on your mind and cause distress. With POCD, fleeting thoughts like these can cause a lot of anxiety because you have an intense fear of being a pedophile. If you believe you might have POCD, read on to learn about the symptoms, how it differs from pedophilia, and how treatment can help you overcome your fears. In this article, they have the what is pedophilia, OCD, what are the symptoms, the relationship between POCD and false arousal, POCD versus pedophilia, they aren't the same, POCD treatment, bottom line, and key takeaways. Well, we already know what it is. Community discussions. What is this? I have the most lovely 3-month-old daughter, and I have chronic OCD over harm and pedophilia OCD, and it just consumes me. Last night, I was rubbing... Oh, what the fuck? 1 in 40 people experience OCD. Okay. Last night, I was rubbing her chest to help her sleep, and my hand rubbed over a wee button under her sleep suit. As she's a girl and I was rubbing her chest, my head thought, that's like a mound, as if a breast. I can't remember what I thought or did after this, but I may have thought, that's nice, and kept rubbing. Not long after, I remember the thoughts being too much and lifting my hand away. I'm absolutely mortified at the thought I didn't lift my hand away the second my hand associated that wee mound with a breast, and feel like the worst dad ever now. I'm so upset over this, the amount of effort I put into not doing anything appropriate, and then I let this happen. Alright, hold on a second. He said wee button under her sleep suit, and that's why I paused at first, because I was like, why is he calling... like nipples a wee button, because it's under her sleep suit, so it's not an actual button. And then he went on to explain, making it very obvious he was talking about nipples and not a button. But it's okay, guys, he's not a pedophile because he thought that rubbing a child's breasts was nice. He's mortified at the thought, don't you know? That's why we shouldn't shame him and feel bad for him instead. He's the real victim here, chat. The amount of effort he put into not doing anything appropriate. Oh my god, what a poor little guy! 3 months, for the love of, yeah, his child. This is someone they put in their article about POCD. This is someone they put in their article about why they're different from pedophiles. Let's see some responses to this fucking thing. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Looking back on the moment and trying to analyze when and why you did what you did is just OCD, trying to get you to doubt. Try your best to catch yourself when ruminating on the moment. Come back to the present. Be kind to yourself. Remember, your thoughts are just thoughts. They have no bearing on you personally. People without OCD get intrusive thoughts as well, but with us, it sticks. The alarm goes off and we keep cycling when we fight our thoughts. I'm understanding through my therapist what's actually happening with me. Your last paragraph is instructive. My therapist said that in my case, I'm sensitized to my theme. So the more effort I put into avoid, I actually strengthen the OCD. So I can completely understand, man. Talk to your therapist and they'll help you manage this. I hope you and we all beat this OCD thing soon. This sounds like the fucking transgender cult Reddit posts, where like someone posts about getting a boner from wearing their sister's underwear or their mother's dresses, and everyone's like, oh my god, you're such a cute little egg ready to crack. Oh my god, you're such a beautiful and brave, valid woman. This is Silence of the Lamb dialogue. What the fuck? It is. Let's see what else is here. This would definitely be so hard to deal with. I don't have children myself, but from time to time I'll see one and the intrusive thoughts will come for me. What the fuck? From time to time, I'll see a child and the intrusive thoughts will come to me. When they do, I feel like I'm viewing them from a predator's gaze. It's disturbing. Anyway, I say that just to say it's bad enough when OCD targets people you know like it. It must be horrible when it's about your own child. Oh my god, yeah, you are the predator, man. Look, again, I said opening with this, most of these people are going to be using it to hide actual pedophilia. And that is exactly what it is being used for. So, like, anyone that uses POCD in a defense online should be heavily fucking scrutinized. Abso-fucking-lutely, dude. I'd like to remind you, though, that thoughts are neither good nor bad. We might react to them, and our reactions may give us a reason to label them one way or another. But at the end of the day, thoughts merely are. That's right, chat. You don't want to prosecute people for thought crimes, right? A pedophile is someone who actually touches a child. It's not merely the thoughts of touching children. I hate these people. And I would also like to say that it's probably for the best you didn't immediately pull your hand away. There's nothing that you were doing that was somehow wrong. You were just trying to help her get to sleep. Plus exposure and all that. Bro, if you are rubbing your child's chest to help them get to sleep, and you start finding yourself focusing on their nipples and also thinking to yourself, this feels nice to me, yeah, you should immediately fucking stop because you are a grotesque predator. What the fuck are these people talking about? What the fuck are they talking about? This has 6 likes. I'm gonna kill myself in Minecraft. When it's your own children, it hits on another level. I'm so sorry, you're not alone. Every day, be the best father you can be. Try to remain present and accept these thoughts as nothing but thoughts when they arise. You're brave for talking about this and finding help. I didn't do that until my children were much older, and along the way, the distress caused me to withdraw at times. Don't let OCD take from your relationship with your child. You're doing great. I'm a father who loves my family and child and wouldn't do anything to hurt them. I had to change the diaper. Oh boy. This is a different post. This is another guy. I had to change the diaper and saw an area that needed to be wiped on the leg but got anxious. I slightly moved my hand to wipe my hand was out away from my body and my child. I had the thought to grab the towel and wipe to be clean, but I got anxious so my hand moved and then I pulled my hand away. I didn't go toward the towel, my hand moved near my child but was far away. OCD says I was going to do something bad, but I know that's not who I am. And I know my therapist said my mind can involuntarily send signals due to anxiety to make me move my hand as a false alarm. And then I pull my hand away, obviously, because I have no intention of doing anything bad. OCD just makes me feel guilty and like I was going to do something, but I know that's not who I am. What? I don't know if I was moving my hand to wipe and then pulled away, but I wasn't moving my hand toward the towel, but just forward toward their leg. Nobody's gonna wipe poop away with their hand if they have wipes at availability. What the fuck? Or maybe it's what my therapist said, my mind sending signals from anxiety and making me involuntarily move my hand, but in that moment, I don't let anxiety control me, and I pulled my hand away. Wait, so is he trying to say that his anxiety is sending him signals, and that's why his hand was moving closer without a wipe? And then his involuntarily moving, in that movement, I don't let anxiety control me and make my hand move closer. I pull my hand away. So what? So the therapist is like, okay, when your hand goes to touch your child in an inappropriate way in your mind, that's the anxiety causing that to happen. And you moving it away is you controlling the situation? Like what? This guy's so ESL, dude. I know I didn't have any bad intentions. I never did anything, and I'm a good, caring father. But OCD gets me to doubt and question and analyze me moving my hand and doubt my intentions. What the fuck? Back in the day, people used to blame the devil for their actions. Now they're blaming OCD. Asphalt looking kind of soft. We need something stronger than asphalt, man. This is insane. Can I search? Can I search posts? Can I find more POCD posts? Search. POCD. We got a what is POCD, another what is POCD. This one just says POCD. People with POCD, be strong. No, you're not the only one suffering of the sickness. Why does this have a trigger warning? It's awful. I know, be strong. These fucking people. 2 years ago. Yeah, like I said, the POCD thing, as far back as I could find it being used, was 2015. 2015. Search. We're gonna go back to the POCD search. What about POCD? This was one I haven't read. Still always scared and worried that deep down I'm a pedophile, that the signs have been there, signs being weird stuff I watched as a kid, also me being very touchy with other kids as a child. My POCD spiked when me and my best friend found out her ex is an actual pedophile. I just hate this, I don't even trust myself, and the groinal responses are unbearable. Oh, it's just like the gender euphoria boners. That means they're transgender and it's not a fetish. I really don't like this. I'm scared. I'm gonna die alone. Me and my friend were having a convo about pedos yesterday due to her ex, and I know a lot about them because I researched about them because of my OCD. But now I'm scared she thinks I'm a pedophile, or I'm just a pedophile in denial who covers it up with OCD. As I'm writing this, I'm getting really bad groinal responses, and I don't know why. I used to be fine and got better with my POCD. Why is it back and 10 times worse? A lot of these people with paraphilias really like the taboo and shame response that they get. So when they talk about doing something taboo, that's going to cause them to get aroused. You do have OCD though, because you are disturbed by these thoughts. Oh, well that's fine then. As long as the pedophile knows he's disgusting and doing something bad, it's okay that he thinks about it. Pedophiles are not. They are intrigued and want to act on them. You being disturbed by these thoughts are a good thing because it means you are a good person. I think you too should reach out to a therapist or a psychiatrist for help too. Also, Google said that groinal response can happen when one is in a heightened state of anxiety, feeling joy, pain, or excitement. We call these high arousal emotions. Simply put, a groinal response is not always an indicator of arousal. Now, I'm not a man, so I don't have a penis. But I have a vagina, and I have anxiety. And I've made the jokes about how a panic attack is an orgasm's evil cousin, right? But I have never had an arousal response when I've had panic attacks or when I've been in a heightened state of anxiety. Not a single fucking time. And I have been heavily medicated for anxiety. So I kind of know what that's like, you know? I kind of know what that's like. Not how boners work. You never had a fear boner? Right, I'm just saying, I don't have a penis, so I can't speak to fucking men being anxious and possibly getting a stiffy, right? I imagine that doesn't happen, right? But I'm not a man, so I can't say for sure. Is a groinal response whenever I do a pants grab. When you have a panic attack, it feels like you're drowning and can't breathe. Yeah, I feel like I'm falling off of a very fucking tall building, dude. Boners happen randomly, even at gross stuff. A boner is just a blood pressure thing. Yeah, I mean, I can agree. Boners will happen randomly. I can't imagine a boner happening during a panic attack. That seems incredibly foreign to me. And also, the language with groinal responses to them getting aroused by thoughts of children reminds me of the fucking autogynephiliacs using euphoric for their boners. I was like, it's gender euphoria boner, you bigot. Fear boners aren't real unless the evil woman is hot. Well, fear boners are like a hentai thing, right? It's definitely not real. I don't want to read any more of these pedophile posts, man. What triggers POCD? I think we already know. You don't have to manage POCD on your own. What are the symptoms? Common POCD obsessions. Did I sexually harm a child and forget? Did I click on child porn by accident? Will I become a pedophile in the future? Was I attracted to that child or teenager? Did I ever do something sexually inappropriate around loved ones? Should I have children if I'm having these thoughts? Did I have a physical sensation after looking at that child? Does God hate me for having these sexual thoughts? The answer to that last one is absolutely yes. Can we get a list of all California politicians that have POCD? Common POCD compulsions. Turning down jobs that involve working with children. If you have thoughts sexualizing children, you should absolutely not work a job that involves children. What? Compulsively avoiding children, maybe even your own, choosing not to have children, seeking reassurance from others, i.e., did that person look older than 18? Watching content about pedophiles and comparing yourself to them, mentally reviewing present and past experiences for evidence of pedophilic behavior, watching child porn to check if your obsessions are what the fuck? What the actual fuck? I was not... I know that comic earlier was very on the nose, right? But I did not expect them to just come out and say it. It's okay if you're watching child porn. You still didn't touch a child. That means you're not a pedophile. You just have POCD. Don't worry about it. Chippy Chanduko. Home. I'm just checking, bro. It's okay. Jesus fucking Christ. Jared from Subway was just curious, Kirsche. I'm being a bigot, I know. Watching how others behave around children and comparing it with your own behavior. Oh my god. The relationship between POCD and false arousal. Have you ever looked at a child and felt an unwanted tingle in your genital area? It's not uncommon for people with POCD, or any OCD subtype for that matter, to experience something known as groinal response. A groinal response is a feeling of arousal which could include anything from tingling, swelling, warmth, lubrication, etc. that's typically linked to an OCD obsession, which can actually be triggered by anxiety. Oh, I'm so glad that when I get horny, it's not actually a response to things that I find sexually attractive. It's just, I just have OCD chat. That's why I sit on a towel. Holy shit, they're just lying. Yeah, they're just fucking lying. Again, like, I know this shit is disgusting and difficult to listen to, but since POCD is becoming a popular defense now, I think it's very important for people to understand where this is coming from. What the ever-living fuck is this? You've looked at kids before and wanted to punt them across the city, but that's because they're being little shits. Gabriel, blow the trumpets. True and real. Well, wait. If someone does the Kirsche, they're okay if they have anxiety. Do not fuck woodland critters! Can someone check the hard drives and phone histories of everyone who works at this NOCD thing? With Trump getting rid of the IRS, we know why you sit on that towel. I need more IRS employees to lose their jobs. The way it works with OCD is something like, I'm not interested in that at all, but I have a body response that says I am, says Zinman Ibrahim. If I speak, I will be arrested. The more I pay attention to see if it's happening, I'm starting to notice. Me too, guy, actually. And maybe even making it happen more often. Then people get really nervous because they think, I walked by the school and I saw a 5-year-old and I got a groinal response. This means I'm probably attracted to kids. Yes, that is what it means! Normal people don't see a child and get aroused! What the fuck do you mean? I am losing my fucking mind here. Know that POCD arousal is not the same as sexual arousal. This is referred to as arousal non-concordance, and it's a well-documented psychological phenomenon that is entirely distinct from sexual arousal. Oh my god, dude. Oingo Boingo's little girl song intensifies. At this point, you might be questioning the meaning of POCD and wondering, how is pedophile OCD any different from pedophilia? Yeah, because it's fucking not! While the two may seem like they involve similar themes, they couldn't be more different, and we'll tell you why. POCD looks like, oh no, what if I'm attracted to people who aren't 18? Says Zinman Ibrahim. But this is only because that's the last thing you would ever want. On the flip side, someone who is a pedophile accepts or even welcomes these thoughts and may fantasize about sexual contact with children. A major distinction between POCD versus pedophilia is that pedophilia doesn't lead to compulsions. They can't be fucking serious here, right? People with POCD engage in compulsions to seek reassurance and reduce distress, while pedophilia involves an acceptance of these thoughts rather than fear. If you're a pedophile, you don't do compulsions to avoid those thoughts because you're not scared of them, says Zinman Ibrahim. If you're scared, it tends to be more about getting caught and in trouble. Good news! If you struggle with the fear of being a pedophile, know that POCD is highly treatable with the right form of therapy. Exposure and response prevention therapy is the most effective treatment for managing all subtypes of OCD. Often, people with pedophile OCD are referred to talk therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy to overcome their symptoms, but these are not nearly as effective as ERP. Oh, CBT is not as effective as ERP. I see, I understand. And can even make OCD symptoms worse. Oh, there's a little video.
There are subtypes of OCD that can be really difficult for people. We talk about scrupulosity, morals and ethics and religion. We talk about harm. What if I were to do harm to myself or someone else? When we also talk about pedophilic OCD. What if I were to harm a child in some way or do something that would be really uncomfortable? People have this notion that if I think something, it must be true. Let's first break that notion. So if you're watching this right now, I would like you to stare at your ceiling and I would like you to wish for it to collapse upon you, crushing you to death.
What the fuck?
In the next 10 seconds. I will do it with you. Go. Come on, ceiling. Here we go. Crash. Come on. I still seem to be here, meaning that my brain powers of ripping ceilings down is not working today.
I don't think you can compare brain powers of ripping the ceiling down to having thoughts of molesting children. Normal people do not have thoughts of molesting children, my guy. That's not... I do not think this is comparable. It's hard for you to laugh at this when you're so disgusted.
But maybe tomorrow. I've also done that example probably 9,000 times already in my career, and it still has not happened. But I also have no guarantee that it won't. And I'm okay with not having a guarantee. OCD is not okay with having no guarantee. OCD wants a guarantee. And when it comes to pedophilic OCD, OCD wants this guarantee that I would never do anything that would ever harm a child whatsoever. And at its most extreme, I've treated someone, and I can talk about this because we wrote an article about it and the person was involved in it. We worked with someone who didn't even hold their child for the first 6 months out of their child's life out of fear of what if I would do something harmful to them? What if while changing their diaper, I accidentally molested them, or I touched them inappropriately, or I pushed too hard when I was wiping them, or something like that. And so her mother moved in and her husband was taking care of the child, and she was always 6 feet away from the child, telling them what to do.
I don't know how you accidentally molest. Like, that's not accidental. Like that guy's post we read earlier about him rubbing his fucking daughter's chest. That's not, like, if you're just rubbing Vicks Vapo Rub in, right? Like, you're just rubbing it, that's normal, that's fine, that's whatever. But he went further into thought, and he's like, wow, this feels nice. I love my child's nipples. I guess what? That's the difference between a normal human being and a pedophile. Fear and anxiety is not rational, Kirsche. Please don't defend this after everything we've just read.
But never getting any closer. It wasn't until 7.5 months after her child was born that in my office, she picked up her child for the very first time. Now, we were all in tears at that point, let me tell you. Here's what OCD did. It convinced her that, you had a what-if
telling
thought.
You how to feel.
Well, that must mean that you want to do it. Name me one new parent that hasn't had a what-if thought about something harmful coming to their child. Like, what if I drop them? Or what if the bathwater's too cold or too hot? Or what if the formula is not the right temperature or anything?
I don't think you can compare a parent worrying about dropping their child, or if the bathwater's the right temperature, or like if the baby's too cold, to what if I accidentally molest my child? Like, that isn't another fucking galaxy of thought. What the actual hell?
Thing of that nature. If we were to stop doing things because of what-if questions, none of us would ever leave our homes. Society would collapse within 3 months. The human species would be dead within 6 months, and there would just be none of us left whatsoever.
Yeah, the water temperature dropping irrational worries.
The animals take over. We're gone.
I was like whenever anybody hands me their baby to hold, my immediate thought is, oh God, what if I drop this thing? What if I accidentally hold it too hard? They're very squishy. What if I give it brain damage? You know, like normal thoughts about this thing is very fragile and I do not wish to harm it. It's like a piece of very fragile glass. Do not break the baby. What if I dropped the demon core?
In pedophilic OCD, these what-if questions rule our lives to the point of, I need to do everything that I possibly can to protect anyone around me, especially kids. And therefore, I will have others around to guarantee that I won't do anything. I will run my thoughts past them, the images that I have past them, the urges that I have past them, asking them to tell me that it's fine and that everything will be okay and that I won't need to worry about it, that I'm a good parent, that I'm a decent person. And you know what? When you have OCD, you'll never get enough of that. You will never scratch that itch to the point that it will go away. The goal is to recognize that
self-reporting.
as a parent, you're going to goof up. Stuff's going to happen.
Oops, you just molested your child, but that's okay. You're not a pedophile. You just had, POCD. Whoopsie. Just a little minor oopsie daisy. A little goof, if you will.
You're going to be walking down the hall and you're going to turn while you're holding your kid and you're going to bump your kid's head on the doorway one day. that kind of thing happens. You're going to turn around and you're going to turn back and your kid's eating the dog food out of the dog bowl with your dog, right? These are things that occur. But OCD says that's not acceptable. There should be nothing that you could do that ever harm a child. And the worst thing that you could possibly do, some kind of pedophilic type of thing. Well, since we've now known what the worst thing you could ever do is, you better be on guard 24/7 to make sure that doesn't ever happen. Because if you're not on guard, you might slip up. And if you slip up and you do something, what awful, horrible, evil person are you for having done such a thing? I don't treat people with pedophilia. I treat people who are afraid of what if I were to have that, right? This what if question is the nature of obsessive compulsive disorder.
Is he trying to mask pedophilia with just people being overly anxious? That is entirely what POCD seems to be in their connotation, right? Like, I am willing to give a asterisk. POCD could be a real thing in people who were victims of molestation, who were victims of like being exposed to sexual things as a child, and they might be incredibly anxious and develop obsessive compulsions over, I don't want to be like the people who victimized me. I don't want to be like the people I saw victimize other. What if I do that? Because we know that there's a repeat chance that someone who was a victim then becomes the abuser, right? I can see that being a thing. We're looping, I know. I can see that being a thing, but that is not how any of these articles have presented POCD. These articles have presented POCD as you're merely having thoughts of molesting children and you're not acting on them. That means you're not a pedophile. And beyond that, you know that it's wrong and you feel bad about having those thoughts, so you're not a pedophile. That's literally what all of these things we've read have said. It's subversion.
And the work that we do with people all day long is to help them learn that just because they have an intrusive kind of thought like this doesn't mean that it's going to make something occur. If this is happening in your life, help is available. Reach out to us.
We'll give you the bullet. To learn more about OCD and effective treatment, visit nocd.com. Oh boy. Oh boy. We specialize in treating POCD. We got some licensed therapists here, man. Reach out to us. We're here to help. I just don't know about all that. I just don't know about all that, man. Well, okay. Well, okay. Forgot the most ridiculous part of it all. They want to make it so people stop being pissed at them for having these thoughts that are seen as real bad people. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a little fucky-wucky. That's a little fucky-wucky. And then, I found a forum. I'll post the link to the forum in chat. This is the forum I'm about to read. It's, female pedophiles are not labeled as such. Instead, they are diagnosed with pedophilia obsessive compulsive disorder. This is February 7th, 2024. In this society where a normal man is shunned and labeled as a pedophile for wishing to date prime girls and then turned into a national headline, female humanoids are instead spared of having any responsibility, further proving that females live life on tutorial mode. Females that are pedophiles are instead diagnosed with POCD, which, yes, is a real thing according to clinical psychologists. And they link Jordan Levi's fucking thing that we read earlier. I feel like this is a very weird way to phrase it, obviously. A prime, femoids and prime. You know this guy is a fucking weird-ass dude. Of prime girls. He's mad at the female pedophiles, but not the male ones. And then there's a little image here. There's a little image here. I can show this image because it obscures the slurs. I can show this image. It's always mental health matters until you're actually fucked up and not just TikTok fucked up. Someone down here said, me and my POCD, I work with kids and have considered quitting because of it. Imagine how uncomfortable I am when my brain tries to convince me I like kids. Again, this is not being used in a way where a victim is terrified of becoming like their abuser. This is a way for pedophiles to hide what they are doing and take advantage of idiots who are willing to believe it. Into the chipper you go. It is literally rebranded map rhetoric. That is all it is. Even the actual counseling sites themselves sound like that.